It's amazing if you just search up Venezuelan videos of people bringing pieces of gold and silver and they scrape it to make a purchase for coffee. And you'd be like, well, how am I buying gold with coffee? We're talking in grams.
Yeah.
They start scraping gold and measure in milligrams.
Right. Fractions of grams, exactly.
Milligrams to buy coffee.
That story. Hello everyone, I'm Eric from Summit Metals and I'm joined by
Jose, and I'm a stacker.
All right, so that's going to be very relevant today.
All right.
Because today I'm going to interview Jose as a stacker about what he's actually doing with his stack.
Yeah.
You know, we see lots of customers buy lots of different things, but I think a lot of people would be interested to see what you're actually doing.
Okay.
Because you are a stacker. Okay.
Yes.
So let's begin by this. I remember maybe about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, you started seeing something changing with American Silver Eagles. In particular, you noticed something happening with the premiums, right? And so that caused us to make a couple of decisions as we discussed it relative to how we were inventorying Silver Eagles.
Yes.
But you also did some things yourself. What did you do and why?
Yeah, there's multiple factors to that. I know exactly what you're referring to.
Yeah.
One is the videos that have been pushed out with regards to the Sharpe ratio and the portfolio analysis that was done. One perspective that I have is if we're going to be showing our viewers what investment strategies to do, I got to eat some of it myself, or however you say that terminology.
Eat your own dog food.
Eat your own dog food, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so this analysis, let me actually start considering silver as a higher amount into my portfolio, and more specifically, American Silver Eagles, because I understand also some of the angles of the 1099B form, even as an individual, and also knowing my experience stacking for many years on the aspect of 2021, where American Silver Eagles, even though silver went up, American Silver Eagle prices also skyrocketed in terms of sellback price, where instead of selling back an American Silver Eagle for $2 over spot, you sometimes could sell it for like $10 over spot. And I'm like, let me double tap into this upward trend.
All right, so let me first, I'm going to give our disclaimer. We do not provide financial advice.
No.
This is for educational content only.
Yes.
Okay, number one. Now, we do show you, though, what we're doing.
Yeah.
So when I show, for example, Sharpe ratios and financial modeling and things like that, it's the same thing I showed you, the same thing I show my best friends. It's the same thing I look at myself to help me determine in which assets I want to be in. And that covers everything from stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals, like lots of different things, okay? What's been shocking, of course, is how prevalent and how magnified precious metals have been in these optimized portfolios over the last year. It's been honestly shocking. Okay, so we talked about that, but I want to press you a little harder.
Go ahead.
Because you've also, something you didn't really talk about, you said you saw it go up and you recognized it was starting to look a little bit like what happened in 21, right?
Yes, correct.
So we saw, though, that we've seen silver grow dramatically, like well over 60% this year, and still up dramatically, including the drawdown we've had over the last week or two, right? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, silver and gold are both up huge this year, like way more than the S&P 500, way more than Bitcoin, way more than all these other assets. People tend to lose sight of what's happening because of what happened over the last week or 10 days, right? Okay, but you in particular, you spoke to me specifically about what you thought was going to happen with premiums, right? Not just that silver might move, but that the premiums might gap. What made you kind of come to that place, and why did you actually then, you know, bet your own money? Why did you actually then, you know, take the bite?
So multiple factors. One is I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of data through our own company to see what is moving and what's not moving.
Right.
So then that gives me a little bit more inside knowledge as to the product, and more specifically, what it costs to actually replenish the inventory. You could see by the pennies the price to repurchase the inventory goes up. And when there's this slight change on a very popular item like an American Silver Eagle specifically,
Yes.
it's concerning because it's produced in high quantities. If the price is going up, it's an indication that there's a bigger demand occurring.
Right.
And then you combine that with the fact that it's taking slightly longer to receive the shipments. I'm like, something's going on.
I was curious if you were going to mention that, because if you weren't, I was.
Okay.
Which is, you know, it's very common with Silver Eagles when we go to purchase, right, like from the distributors and things like that, it's very common that it's an immediate delivery, right? As soon as we give them cleared funds, we receive a shipment, right? But now, even today, on certain products in silver, we're starting to see gapping. It might say available in 6 days, 6 to 15, some out 30 days, depending on the product. So that gapping has continued. And I think where you were really smart is you caught on to when that first really started changing, which was, again, about a month and a half ago.
Yes.
But I think what people would be maybe surprised to learn is that it's happening today.
We're
Right?
here
It's
now.
continuing to happen,
Yes.
right? And so for us, we're actively, right, from an inventory standpoint to make sure we've got product, because we know you as a buyer, when you buy something, you want it now. And we do everything we can to make sure we can deliver, right, like fast. And so part of that means we've got to be ahead of that curve. And has that changed your mindset in terms of how we're acquiring like silver in mass in advance of what you see coming even more toward the end of the year?
Right now, it's very hard to tell on the basis that silver is moving so fast up, then it goes back down quickly. But at the same time, the demand has remained the same as if it was over $50 versus below $50.
Right.
People just want the silver because the public, and I think, is just like, this is just the beginning of something much bigger, the same way we saw gold hit an all-time high and just go back down.
Yeah, one of the things I find really interesting is I find retail consumers to be somewhat counterintuitive. When prices are going down, they treat it almost like it's a falling knife.
Yes.
Like, it's going to go lower, I don't want to buy yet. And what they end up doing is never buying. And then when the price starts really spiking, then they all start coming in, and you kind of have that FOMO transaction,
Yes.
right? That fear of missing out. So as the price starts accelerating, we notice our order flow starts really generating, right? Like significantly more, where I think more on like an institutional or a professional investor, like I heard Warren Buffett say, when I buy something, sometimes I'm really happy to see it starts going down. Why? Because I love the asset, and the cheaper it gets, the more I'm going to buy, right?
Yes.
That confidence in knowing that long term, that asset is going to perform going forward. So let me shift gears a little bit now. So when you are managing a lot of those aspects of our business, in particular the sell to us, you know, for the people that haven't had a chance to deal with Jose, in particular with these larger transactions, you know, have you seen any changes of what's happened in that regard over the last, say, 60 days?
I think what I've seen is consistency, because like you mentioned and alluded about the FOMO, where as prices go up, people start buying more, prices go down, it's cheaper, and Warren Buffett says it.
Yeah.
The individuals who are now buying over $100,000, they're now like in a realm of almost sophisticated investors in of themselves, because they're no longer emotional in their purchase. There's very little emotion in the calls to say like, hey, do you think it's going to go up? Do you think it's going to go down? Instead, it becomes, you know, I have the assets, I want to enter the market. This is how much I'm allocating towards my overall net worth and portfolio.
Right.
Let's execute the trade.
Right. Well, now you remember, like with the Hunt brothers, silver shot up like a rocket. Premiums went crazy. A lot of people bought silver in that kind of FOMO mode.
Yes.
And then they held it. And they held it. And they held it. And now when silver is spiked up again, up to that $50 number and even higher, do you think all of those people have essentially sold that are going to sell?
I don't think so. I think right now what we're seeing is people are still holding on because the premiums is still not going down. It means there's not enough supply going on. People are just not selling enough. There's still a lot that is being held by individuals at the very least.
Yeah, I've been surprised. Something I talk about in my Monday Metals
Yes.
Market Update. I've been surprised. You know, we talk about this term contango and backwardation. What that means is, if you have a spot price, say it's 10, and the futures contract, say the December's future contract is 11, that means in the future you pay a little bit more,
Yes.
right? We call that contango. However, if the future price is actually less, we call that backwardation.
Yeah.
As many of you know, we've been in backwardation, in particular with silver over the last few months. That's now starting to change. So what that means is where I think the LBMA in London was really short on silver and people were asking for the physical, right? We know that the paper is something like 359 of paper to every one of actual physical. So you can imagine it's like a bank run. When people start saying, give me the metal, like I don't want a counterparty risk, much like our customers, they want the metal, they want to hold it, they don't want to rely or trust anyone with it. When that happens, all of a sudden that run starts and then they've got to find silver somewhere, right? So you've seen a lot of the big mints from around the world have been firing silver into London. The COMEX has been sending silver in. The Shanghai Exchange has been. Anyway, that's been happening over the last, say, 30 to 60 days. It's finally starting to reach more a state of equilibrium, right?
Yes.
That being the case, silver is still maintaining real strength in this market. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't, because it's kind of hard. I hesitate to say this, but this is what's said out there. Silver is poor man's gold, but it's really not. It's just an alternative form of a fractional currency that isn't fiat. That's how, in all world history,
Right.
when there was a lot of gold, Roman Empire, the fractional was silver.
Right.
It's how it's been. It's okay. It's good because it generates economic development. And I also want to play on the part with the silver shortage, because last week, or at least a couple weeks ago, a video was put out about the shortage. Like in India, people are no longer buying gold. They were buying silver for Diwali.
Including the central bank now.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's like silver is something that is worth having as part of a portfolio, or at least if you're not thinking about a portfolio, as part of an alternative to fiat.
Yeah, I think sometimes too people like gold because it's obviously the store of value for 5,000 years. Well, silver is also a store of value. It just happens to be a little bit more volatile, meaning that it can go down faster, but it can also go up a lot faster,
just as
right?
fast.
So silver definitely has a part, and back to kind of what we were talking about in portfolio optimization. I've never done one where it says only buy gold. Like silver is always part of that. If gold is part of that model, silver is also there with it. And they vary in different levels. And I think it varies too depending on you, right? Like how old you are. Like you're younger than me.
Yes.
I'm definitely more gold inclined and looking for more safety and kind of security in that, where you can take more risk and you're willing to do it. And I've watched you do it. That's what's really interesting. So
you bring a good point with being younger in the silver. Like I know from my angle, at my age, the silver moving up and down, it kind of gives you that angst to be like, should I just sell now or anything?
Yeah.
But it's more about thinking long term. I don't have a need to touch that money at all. So it's like, let it go up 10, let it go down 5, let it go up 7, let it go down 2. Not watch the market every single day, because buying precious metals is not necessarily a day trading activity. It's a long-term investment to be held to then convert it into a different asset. So to me, it's all about, okay, I have the money. It's just going to appreciate over time. And when I need it, I'll just exit and sell it. And that's it, done. Now, how many years? I don't necessarily know.
Right.
I can't predict the future. All I know is I'd rather hold all this silver and gold outside of the bank.
Yeah. Well, one thing we know is that our currency is debasing. Right?
Yes.
We know that right now, yesterday as we're recording this, Powell dropped interest rates. Well, what does that do? That means that we're going to likely see more inflation. It means the value of the dollar is going to go down. So precious metals become, again, a really great place to protect yourself from the devaluation of fiat or the dollar or the euro or any other currency of 160 around the world, right? There's not a single currency of fiat that doesn't devalue. It's kind of shocking the way that is. It's just too easy. It's way too easy for a government to just print money, and they do.
And people are not like in tune with world news enough. Like we're focused here on the United States with the debasement of the United States currency, but Venezuela, and you've mentioned in different like videos.
Yeah.
It's amazing if you just search up Venezuelan videos of people bringing pieces of gold and silver, and they scrape it to make a purchase for coffee. And you'd be like, well, how am I buying gold with coffee? We're talking in grams.
Yeah.
They start scraping gold and measure in milligrams.
Right. Fractions of grams, exactly.
Milligrams.
Yes.
To buy coffee.
That story we heard was actually from a guy from Venezuela
Yes.
who worked at Bank of America, who was telling us of real world scenarios that had happened in his hometown.
That's right. We heard it.
This wasn't made up.
And
Yeah.
I watched it online.
Oh,
I'm
you
like,
did?
Yeah,
Wow.
this is why I'm saying
Yeah.
I watched it. I'm like, at first I'm like, how do you scrape it? Like, how does the action work? But once you see it, you're like, you can't even see the piece of gold, but it's being measured at like 7 milligrams to buy
Right.
coffee.
Right.
I don't even know what that measures to in dollars.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
You've got a chance to know Jose a lot
Hey.
better. He's awesome. And I'm glad you got to know a little bit of kind of the way he thinks. And I think it's very in line with many, many of our investors. Many are stackers. Many think and act just like you.
Yes.
We are super positive on how precious metals can have a real impact and have a place in your financial life. We continue to believe that. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and views. And we hope everyone joins us again, and happy stacking.
Happy stacking, everyone.